What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to Week 13, lucky 13 of the NFL season for 2021-2022. The Eagles, of course, as we know, coming off a loss at the Meadowlands last week against the Giants. An ugly game, a loss. What can you do? A week later, they're in the same place, playing a different team. And in fact, it's a team that they have never lost to in franchise history, the New York Jets. Yes, those Jets, Jets. Obviously the Jets are off to a tough season in their own right. I think they've played better in recent time than their record might indicate. So I'm not looking at this as a push. Look, no game the rest of the way am I looking at as a pushover game, and I didn't look at last week's game as a pushover game either. I mean, let's remember where the Eagles are right now in their own process. Right, new head coach, relatively young quarterback as far as experience in the NFL, defense that's still trying to find their way, an offense that's still trying to find their way. Although they had the identity and then they forgot what that identity was last week for whatever reason. And this week we have Minshew mania starting. Yes, Minshew will be the starting quarterback for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is out with injury. I would hope that's the reason why Jalen's not starting. I don't think it's time to throw Minshew into the mix. He's not the answer for the Eagles quarterback, starting quarterback for the future. He's a backup quarterback. He had a little success in Jacksonville, but it wasn't really withstanding, ongoing, I should say. Nice story, has a hell of a mustache. He's a character. I think he's good for a team. I think he's good for morale of a team, but he's a backup quarterback, and that's what he is. No disrespect to him, but that's what he is. He's not the answer for the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles going forward past this season. And I don't know if it's Jalen Hurts either. I said last week, listen, if they come back with Jalen Hurts as their starting quarterback next season, would I be overly upset about it? No, because I understand that this is still a process. It's still a building process. As much as the Eagles don't want to say that, it's a rebuild. And to do that, you do have to collect some young talent via the draft. Now, they have other needs, I think more pressing needs this offseason than starting quarterback. I'm talking about defense, trying to rebuild this defense, make it a ferocious defense again. God, when's the last time we had that around here, right? Sustainable, I should say, ferocious defense for season after season. You can count on that. That's certainly a need. They have needs in other areas too at offense. I mean, let's not face it. They have a great let's face it. I should say they have a great offensive line, but they have some long in the tooth offensive linemen. All right, now they're still playing at a high level, and they're doing a wonderful job again. I mean, you could have a couple Pro Bowlers on this offensive line this season, um, but at the same time, you do have to start thinking about where are we going down the road to replace some of these guys, and that's always something you have to have in the back of your mind, particularly when you have players starting to get in their 30s, and hey, that great solid play isn't going to be there, as we noticed with other guys like a Jason Peters over the years, where that play kind of deteriorates, and then they get more injury and injury and injury, and then it just all goes to crap. So you do have to start thinking in those terms too. They are going to have a lot of money under the cap this offseason. It's a huge offseason for the Eagles. I mean, one of the biggest in recent time, right? We all know this. They have needs they have to address. And they're going to have to do it. It's up to the powers that be to do it via the draft, which is very important. You do have to hit on those draft picks, but also in free agency. So some of these issues can be corrected there. Now, we talked last week a little bit about Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Could these be possibilities? I still don't know. I mean, as I do every week, I hear the sports talk radio, and basically the school of thought there is that Russell Wilson should be the guy because they can go out and they can make the move. They have a lot of ammunition with those first round draft picks to be able to throw at Seattle. Maybe even go with a couple of first round pick and a future first round pick or what have you. Maybe Jalen Hurts gets put in the deal. I don't know, but what I do know is that the truth of the matter is Russell Wilson does have a no trade clause, and Russell Wilson might just not want to come here. There's other teams that are more ready made for him to go to have success than the Eagles. As much as an Eagles fan, it pains me to say that. Russell Wilson is my favorite non-Eagle. So I would be absolutely thrilled if Russell Wilson came here. But that being said, again, I don't want to give up too many of these first round picks that they have. I mean, it's not every season that you're going to have 3 first round picks. And no matter where they are in that first round, that's just the treasure chest of first round picks. Now, if you had to give up one of them and some future picks to get a Russell Wilson in here or even a Deshaun Watson or another quarterback in here, I'd be okay with that. I just don't want to parlay basically give up a king's ransom for that when you do have other needs and you're not going to be able to get those other needs all in free agency, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, the teams that do that are the teams that normally don't have a tremendous amount of success, albeit Tampa Bay. But then again, they got that guy named Brady, and he's pretty good. So, but usually that's not the road to success. You have to draft, and you have to hit on those draft picks, and we know Howie's record in the draft. We understand that. He has hit on some players, and he has missed on some players, and he didn't get some players that he should have gotten. But at the same time, we do have to put the trust in that because, listen, what else do we have? Howie's still going to be here after this season. I think it's pretty much written in stone. He's not going anywhere. This wasn't a dumpster fire season for the Eagles. Yeah, there were some disappointing losses. Yeah, there were some growing pains. But overall, it's to be expected when you have a first-year head coach and a young quarterback and a young coaching staff. You're not going to, win double-digit wins and division title, first, second, third seed in the NFC, have a long playoff run. That's usually not going to happen in the first year of a new head coach being here, a young head coach, inexperienced head coach in the NFL, and that type of staff, and the personnel that we have on the field, and the personnel we don't have on the field. These are, again, things that we have to address this offseason, and it's up to Howie Roseman and the powers to be. And yes, it's scary, but us Eagle fans do have to have the faith and hope that they can get it done. Because it is the type of offseason with the ammunition that they have that you can get good pretty quick. And let's face it, again, next season, they're going to be playing with, and I know the schedules don't always matter, but you're not going to be playing with a first-place schedule next season, so you're going to have some opportunity to get some wins next season where you're going to be playing some teams that, might not be the top of the top. So we're going to have to wait and see. Back to Russell Wilson. Listen, I would love to see him here. I understand people are a little lukewarm because of how the Seahawks are playing this season. I just think they're just not having a good year. I think Russell's playing hurt. I just think that there's things going on there that we as fans don't see. Maybe there's things within that organization that Russell and them are just not on the same page, and maybe he sees the writing on the wall. And I'm not saying he's throwing games because that's not Russell Wilson. That's not what he does. He wants to win. But it is hard to have a really great season with all these things going over the head, as we know as Sixer fans, right? With that number 25, right? So I'm not looking at this season for Russell Wilson and saying, he's going to be horrible and whatnot. I do believe that sometimes you do need a change of pace, a change of location rather, and you can kind of get the juices reflowing again and getting back to that type of play that he had not that long ago, a few seasons ago. I understand he only won the one Super Bowl with Seattle, and they had a great defense, one of the all-time great defenses, and a great running game. I think that type of team, not to say exactly duplicated, but you could have that if you rely on the run the way the Eagles should be doing with the running backs that they have and the offensive line that they have. Let's face it, the Eagles' offensive line is a better offensive line right now, today, going into this Week 13 game against the Jets, than Russell Wilson's had in front of him in years. You'd probably have to go back to the Super Bowl Seahawks to have a similar kind of offensive line. And I would still even then put this Eagles offensive line with Lane Johnson and Kelsey and Mailata and company in front of our quarterback than even Russell had back then when they had beast mode and they, won the Super Bowl against Denver. The Eagles' offensive line is just a great offensive line. So that would help too. I mean, if you bring Russell into this type of situation with this line, a running game, and some weapons at the wide receiver position. Listen, we all know about Rager, and we all know what he isn't, and we all know some of the other. We do have a good one in Devontae Smith. I do believe that. And I do believe with the money that they have in the offseason, cap space, they can go out and get a veteran receiver. I don't know who it is. I mean, if you want to parlay Russell Wilson or even a Deshaun Jackson, the Eagle sense for me, right? Deshaun Watson, and go after a Devontae Adams type of receiver and bring him aboard with a boy. That would be interesting. You would have the Devontaes. You would. The wide receiver core would be the Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams. The dueling Devontaes, right? I would be for that. I think that would be awesome. Obviously, that fits a couple needs that this team has right away. Just like that, you get a franchise quarterback and a franchise-changing type of receiver. Although Devontae might still want to follow Aaron around wherever he goes this offseason if he moves from Green Bay. We'll see. But the Eagles will have that type of money that they can go after that type of player. Now, again, it's up to the player to want to come here. But, hey, if you go out and you get a Wilson or even a Watson, the issues still worry me. That still worries me. So I'll keep it to Russ, right? If you get a Russell Wilson, maybe that entices a Devontae Adams to want to come here. Oh, yeah, you got that Wilson, and they already have Smith over there, and they have that great offensive line. Yeah, I might want to join that. Listen, there's going to be options, and that's why I say this offseason is one of the biggest in recent years for the Eagles in franchise history to try to really put this thing on the right track. What they're starting right now, you can really go marching forward if you can have that type of offseason. And you parlay that with some good draft picks as well. Obviously, like I said, you have to hit in the draft. Listen, free agency is a supplementation to the draft. The draft is still the end-all, be-all. You get free agents to bring in to go with what you already drafted and what you were able to build in the draft. That's how those teams that are good every year, that's how they stay good. Even like a team like the Patriots, right? They lose Tom Brady, and look at them now. They were able to hit on those draft picks, and they made right moves, and they had a big offseason. The Patriots had made more free agent signings than they did in how many years, and it's really paying off for them. But it's not just those free agent signings. They have that system in place there. They know what they're doing, and they were able to hit on the draft. And that's very important, particularly when you lose an all-timer like a Brady. You're able to get a Mac Jones and just basically, not saying he's Brady because no one's Brady, but basically coming off a tough season a year ago, off to having success again this season. Looks like they're well on their way back to the playoffs and back to having some successes. Most of us other fans aren't very. We would rather see them not have less success after being over-deluged with the Patriots for decades. Yeah, it's the team that won't go away. It just is. But listen, it's a credit to them. It's a credit to what they do. And as an Eagle fan, I would love to have that type of success. That even if it's half of that type of success, just continued success, make the playoffs, have successful seasons. I mean, it's much better than rebuilding, right? But unfortunately, that's the situation we're in right now. And speaking of right now, they're taking on the Jets today, and it's a winnable game. The Jets, listen, not a pushover. Not a pushover. Particularly recently. They've been playing, they have guys on that team that do play hard. I know the quarterback situation's a bit in flux right now. We might see our old buddy Joe Flacco today at quarterback for the Jets, but we'll see. Boy, who would have thought when the season began that the Eagle-Jet game could be Joe Flacco for the Jets versus Minshew for the Eagles? It's just, that's what sports is. You can't script this stuff. You just can't. But I do think the Eagles will win this game. Listen, I think they were embarrassed last week. I think they, though they'll never admit it, I do think they overlooked the Giants. I think they kind of felt they can walk into that stadium and just get a win. And obviously you can't do that. And look, the lesson was learned last week. You can't do that. You do that, more than likely you're going to walk into a loss. And that's what happened last week. It was an ugly game. Listen, there were plays that had to be made at the end. We know this. Even in an ugly game, if, Rieger catches that ball at the end, the Eagles get a win. And it's an ugly win. It's a sloppy win, but you'll take it. as far as the playoffs, listen, they still have a shot. If they can win more games, than not the rest of the way, I don't know if they'll win out. I honestly don't think they will win out. I think more than likely it's a split against the football team. Um, when they play them those two games. The Dallas game at the end of the year, if Dallas has everything wrapped up, they might, play guys like a quarter and then start sitting guys. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a tank game for Dallas, but it could be work in the Eagles' favor at that time. If it's a game the Eagles need to win, to secure a playoff spot, I'm sure Viking fans won't be too happy about that, or 49er fans, or whoever, would be the 7 seed at that point, or the football team fans, or whoever might be the 7 seed, and the Eagles are right there with them, and then the Eagles are playing a team that has nothing to play for, and that team's playing probably maybe a situation. I don't know who those teams end with, but if they're playing a team that's pretty much out of it too. But at any rate, maybe there's still a chance at that. I always say I'd rather see the playoffs than not, but at the same time, listen, this team ain't winning a playoff game this year more than likely. So, you get in and it's experience. It's experience for this young coaching staff, if anything else, even if, Hurts isn't the guy moving forward or whatnot, but still, if he is, it still gives him some playoff experience. So it's still a winning situation, even though if they do get trounced in the first round, if they go to, LA or whoever, wherever they're playing in that game, and it's a loss. I mean, at least it's that experience that some of the players, the young players on this team would have, Devontae Smith would have, some of these younger players, Dickerson and these other young guys that they have, Jalen Hurts too, if he is going to be the guy going forward. So it's still a good thing. And the coaching staff, it gives them that playoff experience, right? How do you prepare for a playoff game, right? It's a little different than the regular season, right? So you have to kind of learn that too. Now listen, a couple years ago, we had Doug Peterson in his first playoff season. They won the Super Bowl, but Doug did come from staffs that had success and made playoffs, right? Under Andy Reid with the Chiefs. So he knew what it was to prepare a team for the playoffs, right? And he had a really good assistant coach with him, in Frank Wright, who certainly knew about playoff football, right, from those many years ago when he was starting when he was with Buffalo. It's different. It's different though for this staff. So if they can get in this year, I'd be okay with that. Certainly because it will give these guys some experience at what postseason football is all about. Going forward, though, listen, the story still has to be told about the rest of the season, but today's game, it's got to be a win. You got to get, it's about how you rebound after a tough loss, right? And it's a winnable game against a Jet team that, like I said, does play harder than their record indicates. But it's still a winnable game. The Eagles, like I said, have never lost to the Jets in franchise history, so today would be the day, I guess, right? But let's keep that trend going, and let's see. Hey, maybe Minshew makes some plays, they get a win, and you know what? I'd always rather see a win than a loss. So I'm calling for an Eagles win today in the Meadowlands against the Jets. And get back into winning ways, right? And then after a bye week, then they got some home games coming up. So, we'll see. Anyhow, that's my take on it for right now. We'll come back and revisit next week how this game went. It's the bye week next week, so it gives us a chance to maybe do that last-minute Christmas gift shopping or what have you. I'm just about done. So I put up all the decorations. I wanted to make sure I got my holiday, Christmas, whatever stuff out of the way. So I'm not one of those crazies running around like my hair's on fire, which I'm getting a haircut today and I need one. But I'm not running around with my hair on fire, waiting, I need to get this and that. I didn't want to do that. So I made sure. I'm a procrastinator. And many a year has gone by that I've waited to the last second to do stuff, and it's been interesting. And then you're hoping stuff comes in the mail, and you're running around. So I wanted to make sure not to do that this year. So I've been good with that so far. I just have a couple things to get, and I'll make sure that gets done. But at any rate, that's going to do it for the football talk for this week. But we do have, I know I missed it, apologies on that, Festive made sure to let me know that Festive, we have a light up Festive upstairs too. Festive is very festive this time of year. But anyhow, we have the Festive floor. for this week. And a couple weeks ago, Festive went 3-1 to up the record to 24-12. Festive gets it done. But anyhow, don't let that face fool you. Huh? Festive knows. Festive still challenges Slim at a weekly pick. Shout out to Slim. But anyhow, this week Festive likes these 4-pack of winners. Again, just winners, the point spreads, all that. We just leave that for Vegas, okay? So we're going to go with just winners as always. And the first game Festive likes is Cincinnati versus the LA Chargers. This is going to be a tough one to pick. Festive's really partial to the orange and black teams, right? Festive's upset with the Flyers right now, but Festive they haven't won a game in like 3 weeks. You know, guys, at some point you might want to get a W. Just saying. But anyhow, Festive likes Cincinnati in a tough one to get a win against the Chargers. They're hosting the Chargers, I believe. It's a 1 o'clock. You know, again, it's a West Coast team flying over, so Festive kind of likes that. So Festive likes Cincinnati in that game. Rez will like this, and Bay Area throwbacks and all you Niner Nation out there. Festive likes the faithful out there, I should say. Festive likes your San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle, Russell Wilson, right? And what could be, right, one of his last matchups against the 49ers as a Seahawk, right? And Festive likes the Niners. Listen, as an Eagle fan, we kind of need the Niners to lose a little bit. We need the Vikings, the football team. Like, those are the teams. Listen, one of them's going to get the 6, that's fine. But we're thinking about the 7. Maybe Jake's Vikings can take a couple more. That football team. It's kind of a shame when you have a team with no name make the playoffs 2 straight years, right? That we can't have that, can we? So that team needs to lose a little bit. But Festive likes the 49ers over Seattle. So I'm sure Rez and Bay Area throwbacks and all the Niner faithful out there are very happy with that. Festive also likes the team on Hard Knocks, which I've really enjoyed. I have said for a long time I'd love to see a Hard Knocks in season because NFL Films does a great job, right? Wonderful job with the Hard Knocks series over the years with the off season, the preseason games, and seeing these rookies and these undrafted players trying to make the team right. And I've always said, man, but it's just, if they could just follow them throughout the year, that would be awesome. So now they started to do that. I know there was a great series also on Amazon Prime, All or Nothing, and they did it for a few years for NFL. Now they've been doing it for a lot of different other sports and leagues. They take a team and they kind of follow them through the season, and they did a really nice job with that series. And the Eagles were a part of one of them. I think the Eagles were like in the last one they did for the NFL, the year after the Super Bowl, I believe it was. No, a couple years after the Super Bowl. It was the year that that they lost to the Seahawks in the playoffs. But so Hard Knocks is now doing in season, and they're doing this year. They started with the Colts. I thought it was kind of interesting. They picked a team that wasn't like the Hard Knocks before the season. Which look, it's okay because it was Dallas. I didn't want to see them for a whole year, but the Colts. All right, they start with that. I wonder how they're going to do it going forward, though. I wonder if they are going to just stick with the team that they did preseason and then move on, or if they just do like they did now, just pick another team. I mean, for variety-wise, it's cool to see like different teams, but, we'll see. But anyhow, we have the Colts in Houston, and Festive likes the Colts to get back on the winning ways against the struggling Houston Texans. And finally, KC and Denver, what could be a good game at Arrowhead, and Festive likes Kansas City, the Chiefs, to get a win against Denver. So in recap, Festive likes Cincinnati over the LA Chargers, the 49ers over Seattle, the Hard Knock Colts versus Houston, and Kansas City versus Denver. That's the Festive for Week 13. All right, everyone. Well, you all take care. Let's go, Birds, as always. Continue the winning ways versus the Jets. If anything else, let's keep that undefeated streak going. Because we got bragging rights over King Leonidas. He's got the guns, but we all know the football team that beat which one of our football teams wins against each other. But anyhow, let's see. Minshew Mania today, probably Jalen Hurts back after the bye. Okay, we'll see what happens. And hey, I just hope for a win today and go into the bye week with a win and still have a chance. Still have a shot at that 7 seed in the playoffs, and you never know, right? All right, everyone, you take care, and I will see you in the next one. All right.